Well, we have another healer in our midst, Lisa Green. And I don't know Lisa. She does marriage and family psychotherapy for 10 years. And you must have a lot of stories.
I do.
Are you busy afterwards? Could I get some counseling?
We could work.
My parents gave me up for adoption when I was 28.
That's going to take more than an hour.
Lisa Green.
It's so wonderful to be telling a story that makes me part of the community that I love. So as a psychotherapist, we are generally thought of as non-judgmental and not people who really make fun of people. And I realized as I was thinking about the story this week that I am going to, I possibly may look like I'm making fun of people and that I'm judgmental. So just know that if you are Catholic or anything that I would say would offend you, it is absolutely not my goal to do that. However, I think that I have to be a bit descriptive in order to have this story come to life. So when I was 28 years old, or 26, something like that, long time ago, I was at a party, like many 26-year-old, 27-year-olds, on a balcony in Long Beach, California, which is where I come from. We were overlooking the Pacific Ocean, and I was with the host of the party, and some other people. We were drinking wine, and who knows, talking about whatever. And I have to tell you that there was a building across the street. This balcony that we were on was overlooking the Pacific Ocean. And there was a building across the street, which was a rather particular building because it just didn't fit into the houses that were there. It was about, maybe about a fourth of a block, big, kind of enclosed, but yet you had some sense that something special went on there, and it was beautiful, but it was odd. Like if you were driving by as a tourist, you'd be like, what's that building? So anyways, with that being said, I was on this balcony with the host, and somebody else at the party said, hey, do you know what goes on in that building over there? And the guy said, no, I don't really have any idea, but you know, a couple of years ago, there was this really hot girl that drove this Volkswagen convertible, long blonde hair, and she'd show up like a couple nights a week, every week for a year, and she'd like go into this place, and then she'd come out in the morning, and I had no idea what the hell she was doing, but I remember her. And I said, that was me. So that's my story. So when I was 21 years old, 22, something like that, like I said, a long time ago, I was a student at Cal State Long Beach, a psych student. And like most psych students, or most students, I needed a job. So I went to the job board at Cal State Long Beach and found a home health agency that was specifically advertising for psych students to work for their home health agency, to go take people that had come out of surgery, that were elderly, that whatever, and to do whatever, take care of them, go do their grocery shopping, whatever. And I did that for a couple months, and it was okay. Those are, if you want more stories, there's some stories there too as well. And about 3 months after doing that, I got a call from the owner of the home health agency who said, Lisa, you know, we have a really interesting job and we think you're the perfect person. We need somebody to come work at the Cloistered Convent on the corner of Ocean and Redondo. We have 3 nuns that have been in there since their late teens, and they're now about 80 years old, and we need you to take care of them 3 nights a week. And we think you're the perfect person. Now, God only knows why they thought I was the perfect person. Because at that time was probably the wildest time in my life. And yeah, God only knows. But I probably, you know, I mean, I was a pretty nice person. Forget the outward appearance of being a wild surfer girl. And I said, okay. So that began my career working for Williams & Williams Home Care. And on Monday night, my shift was from 8 p.m. to 8 a.m. in the morning. And on Monday night, I would drive my little Volkswagen convertible Bug that said, "You should see me with my top down." And prior to that, oh, it gets worse. Prior to that, I would take off my miniskirt and heels, and I'd put on what I thought were very appropriate long shorts, of which the nuns had a hard time realizing that those were what I considered appropriate. And I'd pull up to the driveway, and I'd get out of my Bug, and I'd go to this little window where I'd push the little buzzer, and I could hear the mother coming out, scurrying out. She'd open up the little window, and just like you would imagine, here comes the part where I make fun of people. She had hair coming out of her chin and really, really, really bad breath. And she'd be like, is that you? And I'd say, "Yes, sister, yes, mother, it's me." And she'd say, "Come on in." So the big doors would open, and I'd drive my Bug in and get out, and then they'd slam shut. So in order to tell you about the convent was made up of about 30 women who did not speak. It was a cloistered convent of Carmelite nuns, and they did not speak to one another. So the fact that I went in there and had conversations with them was a really big deal. And at 48, I wish I'd kept a journal, but I didn't. It was beautiful and magnificent and full of marble and architecture and curves and lots of Virgin Marys and gardens. And they literally came in at 16 and they did not go out. I think they told me that once in a while they'd have a doctor come in, but I was really like the first person. They lived with, chastity, poverty, and obedience. Sounds like a lot of fun, right? So anyways, so the first nun I took care of was Regina. And Regina was bony, really bony, and probably about 80 years old. The interesting thing about Regina is she slept on a plank of wood. She was little, and she was ballsy and bossy, and I really, really liked her. And it was just incredible to me that she slept on this plank of wood. I dressed her and I showered her, and we got in theological discussions where she would tell me that God knows everything a person's going to do before they do it. Now, of course, at 21, this presented me with quite a bit of concern. I'm sure that I was thinking, "Oh my God, please, I hope he doesn't know what I'm going to do." And I remember one time lifting her onto the toilet, and I said, "Come on, Sister Regina, really? He knows how many squares of toilet paper I'm going to use?" And she said, "Yes, he certainly does." So I also dressed her, which I think is such an interesting thing that I can own, that I actually know how to dress a nun, because it's not just like that's ever going to become useful, right? It's not just throwing on a cloak. I mean, they are particular. I would pin her, someplace here, and I would pin it 1/4 inch off, and she would tell me, "Lisa, do it again." And it would take me 7 or 8 times to get it right. It was really amazing. So that was Sister Regina. The second nun I took care of, her name was Sister Mary. And Sister Mary, God love her. She had Parkinson's disease, and she was probably 70 years old. And my job with her was to dress her, but mostly to make sure that she was okay through the evening. I had a little room, which I'll tell you about, was off to the side. And during the night that I would sleep on my cot, I would get this strange feeling that Sister Mary was missing. And so I would think to myself and go into a room and I'd think, "My God, no kidding, the bed's empty. Where's Sister Mary?" So I would go in the hallways, and you probably never have this experience, but walking in the convent that's really big in the middle of the night is somehow a combination between the most eerie experience and the most safe experience ever. So anyways, I would wander through the pantries, you know, all these places, and I'd come upon Sister Mary. And Sister Mary would be like this. I can't tell you, I have to demo. Up against a wall. And Sister Mary was butt-ass naked. Yeah. So, 80 years old, butt-ass naked. Her nightgown would be hanging off her head, and other things would be hanging as well. And I would say, Sister Mary, it's me, Lisa. I'm gonna take you back to bed. So I would come and try and put her nightgown on her and take her back to bed. In which case I would read her the Bible or some scripture, put lotion on her feet and try and relax her. The other thing I did was I over-medicated her. And the reason I over-medicated her was because at 8 o'clock in the morning I was off my shift. And Sister Mary would notoriously wake up at 7:53, and if she woke up at 7:53, it was my responsibility to bathe her. And I realized upon putting her to bed that if I gave her a quarter more than medication, that she would sleep till probably 8:15 and I'd be out. That was probably one of the 7 deadly sins. I don't know which one, but I'm sure over-medicating a nun is not Sweetheart? Yes.
You're going to need your bumper sticker.
Thank you. So, yeah, God wouldn't go over that well either. So anyways, I had a room that was next to Sister Mary's, and it was a pretty basic room. It just had a cot in it, and it had about 30 Virgin Marys, about 8 by 10s, all line the perimeter of the room. Now, at that time, you have to know, besides being a surfer girl, I was madly, madly, madly in love with my Chippendales dancer, Navy SEAL, soon-to-be husband. He was the most gorgeous thing I'd ever seen in my life, and I was beyond hot for him. So, oftentimes, to make it through the night, I would put his shirt in my cot to be able to spell it through the night. But after I had committed one of the 7 deadly sins, I decided, why not commit another? And so while laying in the cot with 30 Virgin Marys staring at me, I decided to engage in lust. And I managed to please myself just about every night I was there. It made the night go much better. Go me. That was good stuff. The last nun I took care of was, I don't remember her name, which is actually rather meaningful. And she had multiple sclerosis. She was in bed, pretty much paralyzed from the neck down. And she was angry, really angry. And I don't know how I knew it at the time, but I was pretty much meant to be a therapist, and so I could pick up, even at that age, people's emotions, and she was pissed. And I had to clean her. She had some horrible bed sores, and eventually they asked me to do some things that that I felt were really unethical. I wasn't willing to over-medicate her, I guess. And I actually ended up quitting the convent because I was not okay with what they asked me to do. The interesting thing is that I probably I am more like her than anyone else, because 14 years ago I was diagnosed with MS. And so it's rather interesting that that's kind of come into my life. And I often think, thank God I didn't know at 21. The last thing I'll share with you was that I had 30 nuns praying for me every week for my exams. And I don't know, they would. You have any exams coming up, Lisa? We'll pray for you. Okay. And needless to say, I had a 4.0 that year. I came in one night and they had a special occasion where they were kind of in the group room, and they had a bunch of chairs around with the old TV with rabbit ears, and they when I walked in, there was something different, and again, it was really odd that they were allowed TV and they were allowed to talk. And when I walked in, they looked at me and they said, "Lisa, why?" Well, let me tell you, what had happened was the Space Shuttle Challenger had blown up that night. And then when I walked in, they turned to me and they said, "Lisa, why doesn't the newscaster say this is God's will?" That's my story. Thank you.